That's what he's doing here.
There is little doubt that the letter of Paul to Timothy, which, as you know, is one of the pastoral letters, was written at a time when there were a variety of threats that were both external and internal, which were challenging the very existence of the Christian community. Indeed, at the time of Paul's writing, the prospect, humanly speaking, of the church making it into a subsequent generation seemed highly doubtful to any realistic observer. Commenting on this in an earlier generation, Bishop Henry Moule described the context in this way. He said, Christianity trembled, humanly speaking, on the verge of annihilation. When you put together the various factors, persecution under Nero, the defection, the almost wholesale defection of the people in Asia, and also the impending death of the mighty apostle himself, we can understand why it would be that someone would write in that vein. And so Paul is writing from Rome under the shadow of execution. He mentions this in the middle of chapter 4. He says, the time has come for my departure, Analusis, the unyoking of oxen, the weighing of anchor to head for a permanent harbor. The end of life's journey is before him, and there is nothing like the prospect of death to clarify the issues of life. And he feels very much the weight of the prospect that is before him of seeking to have the gospel passed into the hands of a generation that is coming behind. And of course, it is in relationship to this that he is so concerned that Timothy would heed his instructions. He wants the gospel to be guarded and to be passed without disguise and without disfigurement into the hands of faithful men who will be able to herald it in a subsequent generation. Now, one doesn't have to be particularly brilliant to recognize that there are direct parallels between Paul's day and our day. I don't think it is outlandish to suggest for a moment that once again the church trembles on the brink, not so much of annihilation. We know that Jesus said, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. But the church trembles on the brink of capitulation. Capitulation that is both theological and methodological. And the challenge for younger men going into pastoral ministry at the moment is directly on these fronts. Do we then embrace a theology which brings with it a method of approach which may seem anachronistic in our generation, but is actually God's appointed means? And to the degree that we understand that, are we prepared to embrace it, and are we then prepared to live for it and to live by it? The prevailing climate in which we are living and being called to ministry is one in which being unsure and being vague is far more acceptable than any notion of being sure and convinced. And consequently, the only thing that we can be sure and certain of is that we can't be sure and certain of anything at all. And it's in that environment that we are called to proclaim these timeless truths of Scripture, this apostolic doctrine, which of course resurfaced with great power and effectiveness at the time of the Reformation. Suffice it then to say that Timothy was confronted by confusion on two main fronts, one moral and the other doctrinal. People did not know what it was they were to believe, and they did not know how it was they were to behave. Now again, you don't have to be particularly brilliant to recognize that that is where we are today. Moral and doctrinal confusion is rampant, not simply on those who stand on the outside gazing into our church buildings, but those who are within the framework of our churches, unclear about central and pressing issues.